Hey, what's up guys, it's Disturbed. Today I'm just going to be showing you guys my Alpha Bridge PvP build. I know that I've made a couple videos on this in the past. The reason I'm going to make a new one is because recently I've been doing a lot of Dark Zone PvP streaming, and I'm probably going to do a lot of this in the future. And the main question that I get while I'm streaming is, what build are you running? And I've made a couple changes to my build that are pretty drastic changes, I would say, and that I felt it would just be easier for me to just make a video talking about the build that I have now and just go over the changes that I've made. And then when people ask me what my build is, I can just link them that video, because if I link them the old video, it's not really accurately representing the build that I'm running currently, or at least while I'm streaming. Also, I have a lot more gameplay now. If you want to see gameplay of this build, I made a separate video of it. I just put some music on it. I didn't want to repost that because it has copyrighted music, and if I put it in that one, that means I don't get that juicy YouTube ad revenue, you know what I'm saying? So if you want to see that video, it's a separate video. I'll put an annotation to it, or a link in the description. It's like 15 minutes of just straight solo PvP, and it'll show you what the build is. The majority of it isn't even using the build that I have now. About half of it, I would say, probably is. Most of it actually isn't even with the gun that I have now, which is crazy. But yeah, that's just some pretty good gameplay if you just want to see how the build performs. But I know that a lot of you probably haven't even seen the build, but some of you have. I mean, the past videos at least. So I'm still going to go over everything. But first, I'm just going to go over the things that have changed. First off, you can probably see that I have significantly more toughness. The reason that I did this is because since I play solo, even if I wasn't playing solo, I'd still probably do it. Firearms does not scale well right now in 1.5. It's because there's a lot of diminishing returns revolving around firearms. At least that's the way that I perceive it. I could be wrong, but even then, the way that stamina scales is linearly as opposed to firearms. I'm pretty sure firearms scales a different way depending upon the gun and everything. And I just know that with an LVOAC or an M4 variant, going for way more stamina or more toughness is going to be much more beneficial as opposed to going all into firearms, because in 1.5, firearm scaling is way worse than it has ever been because the numbers are so much higher. I don't know if you guys have ever done it, but there's this game that you can play like called Per Bullet with somebody. You shoot one bullet at them and then they shoot one bullet at you just to see whose build is stronger. I did this with multiple friends, and since I have more toughness and they usually run more firearms, I end up on top because firearms doesn't scale that well, but my toughness does scale well. So I end up ending up on top because I'm not losing a shitload of damage by, you know, mitigating my firearms and putting it into toughness. I actually end up winning, and just in my opinion, it's much more beneficial to go for more toughness. When I switch to more toughness as opposed to having like 6k firearms and 6k stamina, when I switched, I felt a huge difference. I was able to 1v2 much easier, and everything just seemed much smoother for me, and I still seem to kill people pretty damn fast, and you'll see that in the gameplay here. So that's probably the biggest change. One of the second changes is that I got a better Alpha Bridge holster. I just got this today. It increases my toughness by like 2k, and I get 20 more firearms, and I lose a little bit of electronics. Not that big a deal. And then probably the second biggest thing is that I got adept on this lightweight M4. Before, I was using an LVOAC, not in my inventory. I was using an LVOAC that had focused on the bottom slot, so my DPS was getting inflated really high. But now I have adept, which is nice. I mean, it's better than focus. I mean, 7.5% crit chance for 15 seconds is actually really, really nice. If you don't have this lightweight M4, by the way, it's in DZ. I believe it's the East 34th Street. So if you want to go get that, feel free to pick it up. It's going to run out on Thursday, so I definitely recommend getting that. So that's probably the biggest changes that I've made. So if you've seen the previous build videos, you probably don't need to watch it anymore. But if you're still curious about what my build is and you just want me to go over everything again, then I'm more than happy to do that, and that's what I'm going to do. So again, in terms of my firearms and whatnot, I have just enough firearms in order to unlock responsive. The reason that I keep this amount of firearms is for responsive. Otherwise, I'd probably go way more into toughness, because again, the scaling doesn't scale that well, and it kind of just, you know, it trades off going for more toughness or for more firearms. But with firearms being higher, or I mean stam being scaling better and everything, it'd be much more worth it to go for toughness. So if I could, I'd probably drop down more, but in order to unlock responsive, I need 4,700 firearms. So I would say I just recommend getting 4,700 and then putting the rest into stam. I'd say it's up to personal preference. I personally love going for more toughness. If you like to have a lot of firearms and that works for you, feel free to try it out. Just know that firearm scaling does not work that well in 1.5. Just feel free to test some stuff out and just see how it works for you. So yeah, that's what I would do in terms of toughness and everything. Of course, I'm just going to be running for Alpha Bridge. Alpha Bridge is the best in the entire game right now. You get the built-in weapon damage, you get the built-in talents. And then to pair with that, I got Barrett's chest piece, which is overpowered as hell. And then Savage Gloves, which are still really nice. Instead of Savage Gloves, you could probably go for Specialized Backpack. Again, if you're having like trouble getting an Alpha Backpack with armor or something. Or you could just go for this if you just want your heal to be really powerful. I just like Savage because it's just more damage. More damage is always nice, and I feel that my heal is already decent enough. In terms of talents on your guns, you want The magic 6 would be destructive, responsive, competent, vicious, unforgiving, uncomplicated. I unfortunately was not able to do that. I have adept instead of competent, which is still really good. Another good talent that you could get would be brutal. Deadly is okay, maybe fierce instead of adept. All are pretty good talents. Just make sure that you have at least responsive, vicious, unforgiving, uncomplicated, and then the other two can either be adept, fierce, competent. Actually, competent would probably be one of the main ones you want as well, or brutal or deadly. Just depends on what you want, but definitely make sure to get responsive and uncomplicated and unforgiving, and try to get competent. Vicious is also important, but there's like one or two talents that you can switch off. Like I could switch off adept for something like brutal or something, then it would still be good, or I could switch off destructive for brutal, or destructive or competent or something. They all change like that, so it just depends on what you can get. The best gun is going to be either an M4 or an LVOAC. I personally, after using the M4 for a lot, I really like it. This is me not moving my mouse at all, just shooting up. It doesn't seem to have as much of a kick as an LVOAC does. I kind of like it more than an LVOAC now. The LVOAC is still much nicer. I mean, a lot of people have said that the LVOAC is a lot better, and that's what I thought too. But after trying the lightweight M4, it feels like it's nicer for me, at least. I feel like there's better recoil control on it. The Police M4, on the other hand, has terrible recoil control, and in my opinion looks disgusting. The lightweight M4 looks amazing, and the LVOAC looks even better. So I'd say just the best guns in the game. Try to get either an M4, either the Police one or the lightweight, preferably the lightweight, of course, because the M4, when you shoot an M4, as opposed to just going straight up, it kind of goes like side to side and stuff, which is really hard to control. It's really unpredictable. And then either an LVOAC, which goes straight up again, and then, or if you can't get any of the M4 variants, then I'd say you could either get a G36, and then second to that would probably be an AK, and then third to that would be a FAMAS. So I just recommend either M4 or G36 in terms of your guns. Now, in terms of individual rolls on my gear, I go for health and armor on the chest piece. On the mask, I go for crit chance and enemy armor damage, maximize damage. Knee pads, armor, enemy armor damage. I'd prefer to not have increased kill XP here, get like bleed or something resistance, but it is what it is. The backpack, of course, I go for armor. Try to have at least one piece that has armor, or ammo capacity. When you're using Alpha Bridge, you do have a tendency to lose ammo. As long as you either have it on your chest piece or your backpack, you should be perfectly fine, but without it, you will notice it being a problem. On your Savage Gloves, you can go for just assault rifle damage, and crit chance. That seems to work perfectly fine. And then on the holster, you're going to go for armor. And then, of course, on all the mods, you're going to be going for armor. I mean, pretty simple there. And then in terms of my performance mods, I don't use any skill other than Pulse and First Aid. And I mainly use my Pulse to proc Adept and just to see where people are. I don't use it that much in terms of damage. I mean, of course it does help, but it's not the main reason that I use it. So I just put everything into First Aid Self Heal, because if people are using Conceal and then I put a bunch of Pulse crit chance, that just wasted it, and I'd much rather have my heal me for a lot more. So I just go for full First Aid Self Heal, and this makes my heal much more powerful. So moving on to my skills, I will probably either be going for Booster Shot or Overdose pretty much all the time. Overdose does heal me for a lot, but Booster Shot gives me that built-in damage and damage resistance. As you can see right here, if I Pulse and I Booster Shot, my damage resistance goes up to 500, or my toughness, goes up to 645k. The reason for this is because I proc Barrett Chest and Booster Shot at the same time, and my DPS skyrockets as well. So Booster Shot is really powerful, but I mean, you end up losing out on like 30k health in terms of the heal. So I mean, it pretty much just depends on what you want to do. And then you can either go for Pulse, or you can go for Sticky Bomb, Flashbang, Flame Turret, Seeker Mine, Shock Turret. Depends on if you're playing with a group and whatnot. Same thing with your ult, you can go for any of these three ults. It depends on what your team is running, or if you play solo. If I play solo, I either use Recovery Link or Survivor Link. The only time I use Survivor Link is if I need to run up to some people that are using like flame turrets and stuff, and just not worry about their flame turret killing me. But usually I run Survivor Link just because this comes back rather quickly, or actually they are all on the same timer, so never mind. But Recovery Link is pretty nice. It just gives me a lot of my health back. But if I have like 4 people shooting me, Recovery Link probably isn't the best, and then Survivor Link would be good there. But I still prefer Survivor Link. Me and Exodus both run this. And then in terms of my talents, this is what I run when I play solo. Critical Save, just for more damage resistance. On the Move, more damage resistance. Precision, just to get that extra pulse crit chance and crit damage when I headshot somebody, which is really nice. One is Done is okay, but it does have the chance of making your gun jam, and that's a huge problem. I really just don't want to have to deal with that ever. And I'd much rather have something like Precision or something, because I'm not landing only headshots in PvP. The One is Done is still pretty good. You can go for Attack Advance. If I use this, I never remember to actually use it, so I can't really do this, and I don't really like having to move cover to cover and stuff. Adrenaline's pretty nice as well. I'd say either go for adrenaline or critical save. It depends on what you're doing. Strike back is nice. This helps me. I'd only use this when playing solo though. If you're playing with a group, probably not going to be that great because your teammates could probably heal you with combat medic, for example, which is really great when playing with a team. And I mean, it's just not going to be overall that great when you're playing with a team. But I mean, if I was playing with a team, I'd probably use the same setup and then just switch this for combat medic, because combat medic is extremely powerful. Every time you use a med kit, which is probably going to be in every single fight, it heals your entire team, which is just insane. Other talents that would be good, I mean, I pretty much went over all of them. Triage maybe, but I kind of doubt it. I mean, you could use, I don't know if triage actually works with med kits anymore, but it's probably not that good with first aid because your heals are on insane cooldowns and whatnot, and it's probably just not worth it. So I'd say just stick with these. On the move is great. Damage resistance, more damage resistance, more damage potentially, more damage or survivability overall, and more survivability. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to go over this again. If you want to see the gameplay that I have for this, of me just like killing people 1v3, 1v4, and even some 1v5s, feel free to check that out. Put a link in the description and in the comments, and I'll actually have an annotation on the screen as well. But if you're not, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please ensure to drop a like and subscribe for videos similar to this one. I'll see you later, guys. Peace.